Family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. I'm going to give us updates, including the war strategy map and everything we need to know that's happening between India and Pakistan. Remember, in my last speculation, I believe that Israel was somehow behind this, but since then we have conclusive proof on how we have discovered that the United Kingdom and our very own CIA are behind instigating Pakistan's war with India. You saw a ceasefire, but yet something else is more sinister. And everybody's talking about Trump, but no one's asking the only real question that matters, and that's why did India agree to a ceasefire? Understand that ceasefire was broken 2 hours ago. Now, this isn't necessarily a post. I'm going to give you a classified timeline. And this is buried beneath the headlines, and it's scrubbed from prime time, and it's loaded full of silence. But we got to go to some facts. So I've got to show you different things, and we're going to have a map that goes on to it. Because May 10th wasn't a truce. It was a warning shot veiled with diplomacy, So let's rewind this. May 9th, we had sunsets and blackouts. Pakistan was attacked again. India didn't flinch. The prime minister gave a signal. The NSA nodded. The chiefs understood, and everything changed. May 10th, early hours, Operation Sindoor, Phase 3, Brahmos missiles, Spice 2000 bunker busters, and the Pope dies. So we have between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m. 11 precision strikes. 11 precision targets. It was 11/11. This is a sign on that, and 11 Pakistani air bases were then erased. Did you know that? 11 of them. Let's go. Nur Khan, Rafiki, Murid, Sikor, Sialkot, Passor, Chunanian, Sargoda, Sarkuda, Bolari, Jacobad, all the radars taken out. Their SAC was hit in the air, leaving them completely exposed. Understand, Pakistan has Chinese equipment, and India sitting on the best of Russia and the United States gear. Then we have Nur Khan, Rawalpindi, and Sargodha. Pakistan's main nuclear nerve was hit. After it was hit, we had earthquakes where the nuclear missiles detonated underground. Same thing in Iran. Jacobad's F-16s and nuclear storage facilities were knocked out, and then it shook. We had a 4.1 magnitude earthquake that hit 1:44 a.m. exactly when we hit it, and then another one at 3:40 a.m., 5.7. Now, these were not just standard earthquakes. These were Indian missiles hitting Pakistan nuclear bunkers and, in my opinion, detonating their missiles underground. There's no tectonic fault lines in this area, just fallout. And India cracked open the bunkers of these nuclear missiles. So is Pakistan still sitting on a couple hundred, or are they in fact all gone? We don't know, but Pakistan trembled. 7:40 a.m., Pakistan called an emergency, an NCA meeting. India rewrote, mapped, exposed, and then annihilated every single threat. One more strike in the Pakistan army becomes a case study. So we've had these hotlines buzz in Washington, Brussels, and Beijing, but I just wanted to give you the update that Modi has completely struck all the bases, detonated the bunkers, and has quickly responded to a jihadist threat instantaneously. And I think that the Hindus have a long history of dealing with Muslims and Muslim threats, and I like his instantaneous actions to keep his country safe. And in the meantime, we had Russia. They have a plan. Ukraine had a ceasefire. Putin agreed. May 10, there was an announcement set and a delay. Then it paused. I believe that our agreement with Zelensky on minerals is not going to hold or withstand. He's not the true lesser. He's an outgoing puppet. He's not even an elected president. No, Mr. President, you need to have a meeting with Putin, and we need to solidify a relationship between Russia and the United States and bind in the alliance of Jesus Christ. And then Uncle Sam and Mother Russia together can protect all of Europe. And throughout the United States, even Canada, they don't have qualms, neither does South America, if we just bind behind Christ in the lightness versus the darkness. Those of us that have faith versus those that don't have faith. So India replies, only on our terms. Delhi wanted to pause it. He called Islamabad, said go first, 3:35 p.m., May 10th, DGMO Pakistan to DGMO India. They said, we're ready to lay down our weapons. So then Trump, he got his headlines, 5:33. He jumps the gun, announces a ceasefire. But this is before India could speak. 5:38, Pakistan makes it official. They thank the U.S., paint surrender as a strategy. Then at 6 p.m., MEA, India responds, cold, calculated, and unimpressed. So their stance is just like Putin's. They know they're holding the cards. So does Putin. And behind the curtain, we have a very infuriated Xi Jinping who comes and flies in. How can you leave us out? And that's because Putin doesn't have a war with America, but Xi Jinping does. He has a trade war, so everybody that's got a beef with America, he's getting on their side to try to annihilate us. In the meantime, Putin knows, and so does Xi Jinping knows, that Putin and India are close through BRICS, because BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So like a spoiled kid, Xi Jinping comes in and he's really showing his alliance to Russia. But remember, Russia's alliance is with North Korea, and they have a good alliance with India as well. And so we have to ask ourselves questions. Do you understand that those earthquakes were not on fault lines? Do you understand that those nuclear bombs have been detonated underneath the ground? Now, this could be something true or false, we don't know, but we've seen this. We've already seen this happen in Iran when probably Israel took out quite a bit of Iran's power. And I have a feeling that both of these countries are trying to pretend that they're sitting on more than that they have now. So did we have Trump arm twist India? And was Modi silent? Well, he's not silent. And as you see, he's coming out with the headlines, and I was showing you those headlines. We had at the same time NATO completely getting crushed out. So they came in with the convoy. And as they come in with the convoy, it gets completely decimated. And so all this is going on, and our media is silent. But we've had a major war breakout, and it's been very nasty. Now, in the news, I'm going to let you know, we'll have Vance, and he's going to solidify relationships, ironclad with India. And I think that this could solidify relationships with Russia. So J.D. Vance is really kind of a great candidate. And as far as him closing the door to Zelensky, he has set himself up and us to take a first step to have an alliance with Vladimir Putin. Now, we have enemies in our state that are way more dangerous than Putin. I'm going to bring up one right now. This was basically an hour ago. As Gavin Newsom says that we need to get rid of all of these homeless people in encampments throughout the state of California. Well, who do you think caused these homeless people, Gavin? So you see, after you stole all of our money and gave it to China, gave all of our jobs to China, Americans couldn't keep their homes, you put them out on the streets, and now you're not even letting them keep out on the streets. So here we have KTLA 5 behind me. And they want you to know that they're removing homeless encampments. So your neighbor that lost their home can't even live in a tent anymore. You see, it didn't look like this throughout all of our time, even into the Great Depression, America. This is the Great Depression of today. We can do better than this. This is because we're spending all of our money on wars that do not concern us. We have a war on poverty, just like Tupac said. And it's the war that we need to take seriously. Very, very seriously. Now, again, if you don't pay attention to this war, we're not going to have a country anymore. And if we want to look at our differences instead of our similarities, we're going to be no different than India and Pakistan. They're very similar, but if they look at their differences, they'll be no different than, I could say, Ireland when they were looking at the differences between being Protestant and being Catholic. And they concentrated on that so much during that time that they didn't concentrate on the open door and people that were more different than them. And so today the people of Ireland have to bind together to save their country because they're already looking at a standpoint that they're lost. This is the war that's going over there. So do you want these people coming to your country when they can't get along themselves? First, let them remove the splinter from their own eye. First, then, let them remove the plank from their own eye so that they can see clearly, so that they can have a system that separated church versus state before you let a society come over that has not evolved past the separation of church versus state. You see, there was a time in Christianity, and the Catholics still have it, when we had the religious leader and the elected leaders. And then we evolved past that, and the Constitution gave us the freedom to have that. As it says, Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of a religion. And this was like the Magna Carta and one of these brilliant instruments that helped us evolve as a society past religious differences as being the means and reason to kill each other. I say that because what you're witnessing here behind me is a tinderbox that the world knows about, where we have two cultures, and it would be so easy for us to put some gasoline on it so that they destroy each other. They joked about it in The Simpsons, but this is the real world, and truthfully, most Hindus are very peaceful, and truthfully, most Muslims aren't really out to get all the Hindus. I think they've learned to get in peace. I think this is all because of the imminent Iran war. I think this is because of the imminent Gaza situation, the imminent Ukraine situation, and they're just Ashkenazi messes. They're all messes that we don't need to concern ourselves with. So what you're seeing here behind me are the various systems from Russia, the S-400, the S-300, and how India has these and how Pakistan is defending its stuff with Chinese munitions. So China and Russia are profiting off this war already. And war is money. But who started it? And is that important? So Trump's trying to negotiate these ceasefires, but he has really nothing to do with the situation. And I just accurately pointed that out to you. Nor is our mineral thing going to happen, because how can you make a mineral deal with Zelensky when he's not their elected president and the country's actively getting bombed by Russia? He doesn't have possession of his own country, therefore all of that media must be fake. I suggest that we don't give any light to that. I suggest that we also start prosecuting all the pardons, especially everybody that wasn't guilty of a crime, because you can't have a preemptive pardon. What you're seeing behind me are these 11 battles I was talking about. Bravapar started out, Moradek, Telan Kalan, Bardomat. Excuse me here as I back up, because this is pretty important stuff. Well, we'll go on right here. So Bahalwalpur, JN, it's a JM. This was actually one of the number one starts that they talked about. Then Mardiki. As you can see, it's the Indian-Pakistan line as it was coming up. These are the terrorist camps, Markas, Taibi, Marek, and Pakistan. And immediately, and this is the leader right here in the resistance, number 3 strike, Tehran Kalan, in Jem 2. Okay, so we have here basically the actual battle plan that ensued here, the area in which they had to go, then 4 in Salkat. So this is Operation Sindoor. These 11 strikes, very specifically, we found a terrorist camp here, much like Osama bin Laden stuff, and he was annihilated there. Number 5 in Barnala. There was basically a very big get-together in Barnala, and it was known that there are people with anti-stuff, and there was a mosque there, and that area was completely, as you can see in the aftermath, they're completely destroyed. Number 6, we have Kotli. Kotli has happened, and Kotli number 6 in heaven. So we have a South Kotli, the Gem 2, and HM. And both in the night as well, those things were taken out, traveling further up north to Muzaffarabad. Now, what I'm seeing is the Indians slowly moved it all the way up to where Afghanistan goes to crossover into Russia and Tajikistan, which smells like Taliban infiltration to me. And who gave them that information in that war but the United States when we pulled out? So Muzaffarabad, we had 2 incursions there, 8 and 9, but it says there 9 in both. So we're having serious battles that have happened. If you didn't know exactly the exact locations, in Pakistan on this area, in India in this area. So we have India successfully making their invasion and hitting and striking with their equipment. Now keep in mind they have an advantage, but they also have Russian equipment and American equipment versus Chinese equipment. And so that should give you a battle update on us to understand why they're a force to be reckoned with. The reason why this is very, and now we have Erdogan as well. Now he's stepping in to help out Pakistan because, again, blood is thicker than water, and this could turn into a Hindu-Christian versus Islamic war. And don't fall for it and don't let it happen. Because that's just big business, doing something that's against all of the faiths. It's against the Hindu faith, the Islamic faith, the Christian faith. We all get along. We all get along here in America. Don't let evil people with their business objectives tear us apart, okay? Even over there, we've come a very long way where we don't need to be disseminated by evil. This is when the Bible talks about put on the armor of God to withstand the fiery darts of the evil one. These are the fiery darts that are going on behind us, brothers and sisters. So you got to have your helmet on. Obviously, look what's going on. Helmet of salvation, breastplate of righteousness, shield of faith. You got to have your feet shod in the gospel of truth. And then the only thing that you can go back on to save us from our discernment is the Word of God. And live the Word of God. Don't just be a part-time Christian. Now's the time to dive into the Bible. And understand the book of Jude is right before the book of Revelation, and it talks about a perverted society, an alphabet soup society, which is the intro into the end. You give an inch, they too will take a mile, and when that black snake travels across the United States, it will be a sign to the end times. So then again, I like to say Revelation 2:9-9, when a synagogue of Satan shall come back down into Israel and pretend that they are Jews, but they are not. Now, don't ask me why every pedophile in America is able to have safe haven in Jerusalem. But that's a fact that might need to change to clean that synagogue. So we don't have a ceasefire, we have a war. We have a war going on hardcore, and I didn't want anybody to believe in stuff that's actually not true, okay? And Operation Sindor is happening. It's happening hardcore. And as it's happening hardcore, we just got to think about things. Now, our sun is traveling into a new kind of plasma cloud, and that's affecting the wobble, and it does this over time. What I'm going to bring up is Atlantis real quick. Now, this is the eye of Africa, Mauritania. This is basically, we're going to zoom in here and check this out, but this is where Atlantis was. And it's a collapsed dome, and that's how it got its concentric rings, like you're seeing here. But what I want you to pay attention to, and see how it looks like a beautiful eye, and that's the eye of Africa. And so this is Atlantis, but you can tell from outer space that a massive tidal wave came from the west coast, and it completely went over everything. You can see the skeletons of whales and everything along the way. We could call this the Adam and Eve event or the Adam and Steve event. But how did this happen? And understand this is so old, we can go back, and I love this in geological times because it kind of started back even in Pangea days. But even around from 201 million years ago to 101 million years ago, we had basically the dome that was created It was a volcano that never kind of made it, and it filled up, and then it dissolved, and it crumbled in upon itself. And that was about 101 million years ago. But we have all of the correct things you should see here for Atlantis, meaning the black, the red, the white stone. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, and this is in Mauritania, south of the Atlas Mountains, it meets all of the things from Plato and Socrates as far as describing Atlantis. But the reason why I bring this up is because it presents us with evidence of a distinguished. And when you look at the Eye of Africa and Atlantis, it's very obvious that happened to the Eye of Africa. Okay. And we can see tilts and tsunamis and all this type of stuff, but if you just get on Google Earth, just type Eye of Sahara or Eye of Africa, Eye of Mauritania, and zoom in on it, you'll see a beautiful dome here. And this dome right here, this is Atlantis, and you can see the ancient oceans. It meets all of the exact requirements and size schematics of Mauritania. You can see the Atlas Mountains and all the dried up rivers that in fact flowed into it when it had rivers. So the reason why, of course, I'm bringing that up is we have some earth tilting, and now the magnetic pole sitting over a supervolcano, and those could be things that we have to take very seriously. And so, the earth is shifting, and we're hitting a cloud, a plasma cloud, and that could be some of the things that might be setting us off. You never know. And I'm just trying to bring us those type of things to speculate upon, because it could all be Colonel Sanders' fault. People ask me all the time, well, what do you mean it could be Colonel Sanders' fault? There's no way in the world that this could be Colonel Sanders' fault. And I'm like, yes, actually, it very much so can be. So here we go.
That there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaverate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet triannually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up. Oh, I hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes and that smug look on his face. Oh, you're gonna buy my chicken. Oh!
Dad, how can you hate the Colonel?
Because he puts an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly, smartass.
Interesting.
Well, there you go. And if you haven't had some good old Colonel Sanders, yeah, well, it's you haven't tasted my chicken lately, and so get off your couch, grab yourself some, and until then, I hope all your dates are good ones. And understand that India and Pakistan in this war, well, that's one war. And it's all for money in the end, because then after China and America got along, oh, we had a tremendous surge in the stock market today, ladies and gentlemen. So the Ukraine, the Afghanistan, I call this new war that we're looking at out there basically in Pakistan. See, this is the Ukraine 3.0. What do you mean, Chris? Well, Ukraine was 1.0 to study America's gear. Israel, that's Ukraine 2.0 to study America's gear. India, Pakistan, that's Ukraine 3.0 to study how China's, Russia's gear goes against the United States as they secretly test themselves so that they can take us over. Anyways, that's my theory. That's my scoop. And if they can't get along at home, we need to close the doors for them to travel here, just out of the safety for everybody in America, my dear. So if you can't get along, if there's a country at war, don't you think it would also be better if we didn't let their students get educated over here as well at the same time? How are Americans supposed to differentiate if somebody's from Pakistan or India or Saudi? How are they supposed to differentiate if they hate Jews or Muslims? I know how I would differentiate. Do they sound like a shit kicker like I do? Or do they talk like they just came off of a camel yesterday, my friend? Until then, I hope all your dates are good ones. It's time to protect America. We'll be talking about rapid-fire bullets, American-made bullets, and ways in which we can start manufacturing things. I need you kids out there to make us cell phones so that we don't have Lebanon 2.0 happen here. And that's something that can happen. Now I'm going to say Trump's annoyed with Keir Starmer, the United Kingdom, Merz out of Germany, Macron, and France, and the new woke prime minister out of Canada. Here's my point. We need to drop their crap and say, look, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Germany, you need to shit can all your losers or we're going to take you over or we're going to let Putin take you over. Canada, you can choose to be with us or go home, but you don't even have a military. Who are you fooling? So, Trump, I'm glad that you're annoyed by those people, and he must be listening, and Barron, I want to thank you. But he dropped Netanyahu with his negotiations with Iran. Thank God. Because we can't fight every war that old turd wants us to fight named Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a war criminal, and President Trump, as long as we follow that turd, we can't follow your platform of peace. And that's what means something to us. Your platform in peace. And defending every child out there, because that's what we're about. We're a nation of love. We're a nation of integration. We're a nation that can get along with each other. Because above all, I want you to treat your neighbor the way that you want to be treated yourself. And above all, I want you to love. Amen. And God bless you. Understand, even the Democrats are trying to break into ICE facilities and free illegal aliens all over, even like the ICE agents in Newark, New Jersey. And when I was with my buddy Nanda Bhagi, who helped with the India war script, I want you to know that Newark was already taken over, and ICE needs to cruise through Newark with a fine-tooth comb for the citizens of Newark, New Jersey, because Newark has been lost, and it looks like anything except America. Newark, New Jersey's lost. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Los Angeles, California. Every place there's been a woke reject, we have a destroyed America. And it's because we let in too many people that weren't built on a foundation of a stone, a rock. And they'll never understand this concept because they didn't have anybody that gave their life for them so that they could be saved. So they don't understand this concept of love. And it's important to protect the people that understand that concept. And we understand that through the light that we've been given. And God bless you for it. So again, I think we can build ourselves up on Christ and love. And we need to steer ourselves away from people that want to continually buy weapons, because the outcome is always some destroyed family. And we don't need any generational curses put on any of us. I pray that the Ukraine can find a leader that's peaceful, that can build up that country from scratch and represent his country the way it needs to be represented. Same thing with Canada. Same thing with Israel. Israel needs somebody that loves Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Because only then will we be a planet of peace. So I wanted you to know that the ceasefire didn't happen. I wanted you to know that we had very, if anything, no negotiation. I want you to know that our minerals deal in the Ukraine is a facade. And the only thing that's going to make us real is if we pull away from the crooked politician named Benjamin Netanyahu. And if then we can solidify relationships with Iran, Pakistan will follow, India will not get terrorized, and we'll see peace. But China's going to throw the gasoline on everything they can. And I want you to remember that. God bless.